Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Gaura Haribo. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Vishnupada Paramahansa Paribhajagacharya Ashtodara Shuddhashisi Maharaj Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Vishnupada Paramahansa Paribhajagacharya Ashtodara Shuddhashisi Maharaj Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Thakur Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Garantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Glory to the assembled devotees, all glory to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, glory to Shri Guru, Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, reading today from Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th Canto, 5th Chapter, text number 18. Aishparam Shastram Utsijja Bandha Mokshanu Darshanam Vivika Padam Agyaya Kimasat Karma Bir Bhavet Aishparam Shastram Utsrijya Bandha Mokshanu Darshanam Vivika Padam Agyaya Kyamasat karma bhir bhavet Aishparam shastram utsrijya Bandha mokshanu darshanam Vivika padam agyaya Kyamasat karma bhir bhavet. Anamokshanu darshanam Nikya paramagyaya Kima Satkama Bhavad Mutrija Namokshanu Darshanam Ekapadam Bhagyaya Utrija Bandamokshanu Darshanam Vipikapadam Bhagyaya Kima Satya Vivede. Vaishnavis. Aishwaram Shatramuchija Bandamokshanu Darshanam Bhagyaya Kima Satkama Bhavad Aishwaram. You could do it in Hindi.
शब्दार्थ हरे कृष्णा। शब्दार्थ बोलें। ऐश्वरम ईश्वर का ज्ञान या कृष्ण भावनामृत लाना, शास्त्रम वैदिक साहित्य, उत्सृज्य त्याग कर, बंधन का, मोक्ष तथा मोक्ष का, अनुदर्शनम विधियों की जानकारी देना, विविक्त पदम आत्मा को पदार्थ से पृथक करना, अज्ञाय ना जानते हुए, किम असत कर्मभिः भवेत क्षणभंगुर सकाम कर्मों का क्या लाभ हो सकता है। अनुवाद मेरे पीछे बोलिए। श्री नारद मुनि ने हंस की बात की थी। इस श्लोक में इस हंस की व्याख्या की गई है। वैदिक ग्रंथ यानी शास्त्र भली भांति यह बताते हैं कि समस्त भौतिक तथा आध्यात्मिक शक्ति के स्रोत श्री भगवान को किस प्रकार समझना चाहिए। वास्तव में वे इन दोनों शक्तियों की विस्तार से व्याख्या करते हैं। हंस वह है जो पदार्थ तथा आत्मा में अंतर करता है, जो हर वस्तु के सार को ग्रहण करता है और जो बंधन के तथा मोक्ष के उपायों की व्याख्या करता है। शास्त्रों के शब्द विविध प्रकार की ध्वनियों के रूप में हैं। यदि कोई मूर्ख धूर्त व्यक्ति नश्वर कार्यों में लगने के लिए इन शास्त्रों के अध्ययन को ताक पर रख देता है तो फिर परिणाम क्या होगा। तात्पर्य प्रभुपाद के द्वारा शिला प्रभुपाद की जय। कृष्ण भावनामृत आंदोलन वैदिक साहित्य को आधुनिक भाषाओं में विशेषतया अंग्रेजी, फ्रांसीसी तथा जर्मन जैसी पाश्चात्य भाषाओं में प्रस्तुत करने के लिए अति उत्सुक है। पाश्चात्य जगत के कर्णधार अमरीकी तथा यूरोपियन आधुनिक सभ्यता की प्रतिमाएं या आदर्श बन चुके हैं, क्योंकि भौतिक सभ्यता की प्रगति के लिए पाश्चात्य लोग अस्थायी कार्यों में अत्यंत कुशल हैं, किंतु विवेकवान व्यक्ति ये देख सकता है कि सारे भव्य कार्य यद्यपि नश्वर जीवन के लिए कदाचित अत्यंत महत्वपूर्ण हैं, किंतु शाश्वत जीवन से उन्हें कुछ लेना देना नहीं रहता। सारा जगत पश्चिम की भौतिकवादी सभ्यता की अनुकरण कर रहा है। अतएव कृष्ण भावनामृत आंदोलन मूल संस्कृत वैदिक ग्रंथों का पाश्चात्य भाषाओं में अनुवाद करके पाश्चात्य लोगों को ज्ञान प्रदान करने में अत्यधिक रुचि रखता है। विविक्त पदम शब्द द्योतक है जीवन के लक्ष्य से संबंधित तार्किक प्रवचनों के मार्ग का। यदि जीवन में जो महत्वपूर्ण है उसकी विवेचना नहीं की जाती तो व्यक्ति अंधकार में जा गिरता है और जीवन के लिए उसे संघर्ष करना पड़ता है, तो फिर ज्ञान में प्रगति करने से उसे क्या लाभ? पश्चिम के लोग अपने छात्रों को हिप्पी बनते देख रहे हैं। यद्यपि विश्वविद्यालयीन शिक्षा के लिए वहाँ भव्य प्रबंध है, किंतु कृष्ण भावनामृत आंदोलन इन दिग्भ्रमित नशीली दवाओं के अभ्यस्त छात्रों को भगवान श्री कृष्ण की सेवा में लगाकर उन्हें मानव जीवन के लिए कल्याण के कार्यों की ओर मोड़ने का प्रयास कर रहा है।
ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टां स्थापितां येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकम्। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। In the beginning of this chapter, I think the third or fourth verse, eighth verse, it says, Kvachit damstam chitrakatam. You're going to try that? Okay. So, this Chitrakatam, that this story, Srila Prabhupada translates it as saying, Chitrakatam, he says, the whole story is wonderful. There's a famous verse, Natad vachas chitrapatam hare yasha, that if one does not describe the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even if using chitrapadam, using very decorative language, then that is useless. Tadbhaya samtirtam ushanti manasa. Very thoughtful persons, they think this is a pilgrimage place for crows, because jagat pavitam pragrinita karichit, because although their poetry, their philosophy, all of the things they glorify and they say may be very beautiful, maybe very decorative language, very flowery language, as Krishna says, Yamiman pushpitam bacham, that this flowery language of the Vedas, pavadant yavi paschitaha, it's used by persons who are not very intelligent. Now, of course, the Vedic language, the Srimad Bhagavatam, is Chitrapada. It's very beautiful. The art of alankar, one may study Sanskrit, one may learn so many words, but if you want to compose like poetry like the Bhagavatam, you have to learn alankar. You may learn the grammar in 5 years, 7 years, something, depending on how good your brain is, but to learn alankar, to learn how to make it very beautiful, that takes a lot of, so therefore a Vaishnava is said to be poetic. But there are many poetic people. They can also use very beautiful language, Vedavadaratam Bharatam, Nanyat Asti Nivadinaha. But they don't know the purpose. They don't know the purpose behind all this flowery, beautiful language of the Vedas. they don't understand that the purpose is Vedaisha Sarvara Hame Babejo. The purpose is to understand Krishna, to know Krishna. And so, if they don't know that, then the whole message is lost. The whole understanding of Krishna consciousness is lost. Nayatra hamsam niramant yushikshaya. That swans, here we're speaking about swans. So in the first canto of the Bhagavatam, it speaks about swans. Swans are like saintly people who are interested in, as it says here, bandha moksha anudarshanam. They want to understand bandha and moksha. You can't just understand moksha. You have to understand bandha. Otherwise, you'll be looking for something sentimentally. If you don't understand, just like if someone is driving a vehicle, but they don't understand the traffic laws, then they will have an accident. Of course, here in India, it's very fluid, the way things move in traffic. Very interesting. Very raganuga, So this, just like Krishna says, Maya dakshena prakriti suyate sahachara charam, that Maya is there. We must understand the nature of Maya. Krishna spends a long time in many, many chapters of Bhagavad Gita explaining the nature of Maya, so that we understand. Otherwise, if someone just tells stories about Krishna, just like now it's been very popular, especially Bhagavatam Sapta, they just speak stories about Krishna, everyone like thinking that Krishna has come to entertain us. Nice stories, he's dancing and he's doing this and he's playing with the gopis. It's just like everything I see on television or in the movies, very nice, sensual activities. But we have to understand the nature of Maya. Krishna explains the three modes of nature. Krishna, I think one of these previous verses, yes, Purusha prakritisto hi bhunkte prakritinjaya gunai and prakrite kriyamanane gune karmane sarvashaha. So Krishna is explaining this bandha so that we can avoid it. And then he's explaining moksha in the 10th canto and 9th chapter, where it's explaining about Mother Yashoda binding Krishna. It says, it uses the word vimukti dat, that when Prabhupada explains that there is mukti. Mukti means ordinary liberation, where you are freed from the modes of nature. But vimukti dat means special liberation. It means when you're liberated from all conceptions and you become Krishna conscious. That's vimukti. So the materialistic people who may approach the Supreme through jnana or through yoga, they're looking for mukti, moksha. But the devotee is not looking for anything, but he gets, therefore, vimukti dat. It is given automatically to the devotee, this special liberation. And that special liberation could take place at any time. Just like when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was meeting with the Mayavad sannyasis, and then they invited him to come and sit with them. He said, no, I'm not qualified. And they said, no. And then he displayed his effulgence, and they all said, Narayan. No, he made it. He achieved the goal. That's what they thought. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had not enlightened them. So they thought, he has become Narayan. We will all become Narayan like him. He's showing us the proper path. So, but the devotee is not looking for that. Actually, a devotee is afraid of liberation, in one sense. And Sanatana Goswami, in his beginning of Brihat Bhagavatamrita, he states that mukti is in a very precarious position in Kali Yuga, because the devotees are so surrendered to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and they're not giving shelter to Mukti Devi, and therefore she's very concerned, because she knows that the greatest shelter is the devotees, but they're only interested in bhakti, and therefore Sanatana Goswami says now Mukti has taken shelter of bhakti, but she can't look bhakti in the face. Bhakti is so elevated. She looks at her lotus feet only, meaning that just by attaining some glimpse of bhakti through the parampara, we can go beyond liberation. That's how powerful bhakti is. So this, how do we achieve it? Srila Prabhupada says in his purport, this Krishna consciousness movement is very eager to present Vedic literature in modern languages. Even Hindi is a modern language. Bengali, all the languages of India, they all come from Sanskrit. Some of them are a little more hidden, otherwise the roots go back farther, like some of the South Indian languages. Difficult to see the relationship. But to speak of Hungarian, Hungarians said they don't know where it came from, but it all came from Krishna. It all came from Sanskrit. Just that some people get a language that looks like it didn't become from Sanskrit, so they can be very proud. Oh, look, our language is different. But, yeah, unique, special. And therefore, otherwise, every living entity in this world is looking for how I can be unique. Instead of how I can take shelter of that which is greater than me, I want to be greater than everything. Ahankar. So, this is the danger. And therefore this swan, Srila Prabhupada emphasizes the word viviktapadam. This discrimination, this ability, like the swan can distinguish milk from water. So a devotee has to be able to distinguish. They should be swan-like. Tadvag visargo, janapagga viplavo. That Srila Prabhupada translates this, that this movement, this Krishna consciousness movement, this Srimad Bhagavatam, is meant to make a revolution. Just like when I was a young brahmachari, that's what we would do. We would, because everybody in the U.S. was in the revolutionary mood. We want to change the world. And so we would say, do you want to join the biggest revolution? Yes, come with us. And so we would preach like that, and they would come. Some of them didn't last very long. And what is that revolution? Yasmin pati shlokam abhadavatyapi. Even though the Bhagavatam may have some mistakes, or someone who's commenting on the Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada used this verse. He put it in the front of every one of his Bhagavatams because he felt like, I'm not a scholar. Prabhupada was not trained up in a Brahminical discipline. He learned Sanskrit in college and then he studied more. That wasn't his specialty. So therefore he felt like, I'm not qualified. But his Bhagavatam, these purports are greater. I've mentioned many times that, you look at Prabhupada, you look at any Acharya's Bhagavatam, practically they speak one or two lines on each verse. And only the big major verses, they speak a little more. And of course, 10th canto, more purports. But otherwise, the rest of Bhagavatam, they have one book like this. And Prabhupada has so many books. Because Srila Prabhupada is explaining the Bhagavatam as it says here, so that in Western languages, translating into Western languages, and even the languages of India are Western in the sense that they're new, except for Sanskrit. So, and Prabhupada, why is he doing that? So that this world, even India, has become enamored by Western technology. I was explaining just a couple of times. I just read this article a few days ago. It was so amazing that these scientists and philosophers and technical people, they are becoming very concerned about artificial intelligence, because they say it may take over humanity and it may destroy humanity. Just like they had one big AI apparatus, and they asked it, so how can we solve the problems of humanity? And the answer was, eliminate the humans. No. So this was the conclusion. Get rid of the humans, and you get rid of all the problems. No. So they're very afraid that this is the future. Otherwise, every time something is invented in technology, it turns out making a new weapon or creating illusion, like cell phones. No. They can be very useful. Of course, everything can be used in Krishna's service. No. Even atomic bombs, if we had some. We don't have any, luckily, because it wouldn't be very good in the hands of neophytes. But everything can be used in Krishna's service, cell phones, Facebook. But generally speaking, it's 95% Maya. No. And even sometimes in the hands of devotees, if you're not very careful, if you're not Krishna conscious, if you don't hear the Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita every day, it will also become an instrument of Maya. No. Because technology always turns out that way. Just as that's what is being explained in all these metaphors, that Maya is very expert. Srila Prabhupada says in different purports throughout this chapter how powerful, how Maya is, how she can confuse everyone. She confuses the demigods, she confuses the Brahmins. Muyanti yat suraya. In the beginning of the Bhagavatam it says, even the demigods are illusion. Therefore this Srimad Bhagavatam has come to dispel that illusion. Krishna says, Dharma Bhagata, Dharma Gena Devi Saha, Kalo Nashtari Shamesha, Paranarko Dunoditaha. Now that Krishna has gone to his abode, and Kali Yuga is coming in so strongly, what will be the hope for mankind? This Srimad Bhagavatam. And therefore Srila Prabhupada is glorifying, he's saying the Krishna consciousness movement, but present literature. So what is that literature? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that literature is the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalam. That this Bhagavatam is the supreme pramana. It is the supreme praman. It is above everything else. Because it explains in so much detail the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the Bhagavatam brings everything else into focus. Just like Narada Muni said to Vyasadeva that idam hipum sams tapaso shutasya va swistasya shutasya cha buddhidatayo, that all different branches of knowledge, understanding, expression, etc. Avichurtota kavibir nirupito. That intelligent people understand the infallible purpose of all types of knowledge, which is yarutama shloka gunano varnanam, which is uttama shloka, to glorify that person who is worthy of being glorified. Everyone is glorifying. Everyone is glorifying someone else. In the whole material world, that's what it's all about. But what is the purpose? To conquer, to take advantage of, to exploit, to manipulate, or to follow blindly. Just like I was just noticing, every time I see in any country in the world, just like yesterday we were driving back from the program, and there's, I don't know what kind of function it was, but everybody's glorifying whatever it is. But it's something useless. No. You watch political rallies. No. You see political rallies, they're doing the same thing we are. They have their hands up, they're shouting, no. Some are dancing. But what are they glorifying? Some politician. No. Someone, and what is the solution that politicians give us? No. Promises for more sense gratification, or that they will build more roads, or they will build bridges, or they will make another factory so everyone can work like a Shudra. No. Otherwise, the whole modern society is converting everyone into Shudras. Previously, every respectable person would have a little shop or something, and they would be able to sell something. See, in India, it's still there to some degree. But those people with little shops, they barely make enough to survive. No. But previously, you know, just like Prabhupada's time, he speaks about his father, they weren't wealthy. But they just had just enough to get along. And his father would only open his business 3 or 4 hours a day. The rest of the time he would be doing puja of the deities. But everywhere in the world now, globalization means that you make these huge mega businesses, or they have mega agriculture and fill all the foodstuffs with chemicals. And then we're eating those chemicals. And then they make these big businesses where you go in one store and you buy everything. And all the small businesses are extinguished, and people are simply converted into Shudras. Because this is control. This is manipulation. One of our GBC members, he knew the Prime Minister, Devamrita Swami, the Prime Minister of New Zealand, many years ago. Now he's not the Prime Minister. And they were friends. And so he asked him, they were just talking, and he asked him, what is the ideal model, political model amongst all of you when you have a world summit? What is the ideal? And he said, China. No. Why? Because he said they control everyone. He said, this is what all the big leaders say. We want to become like China. We want to get everyone under control. And they do that by various ways. Even though when we think, no, we're free. China, they're very oppressed, but we're free. No, we're controlled by credit cards, by internet, by all these things. They seem like something very nice that I can use, and I can be happy by using these things. But no, they will simply enslave us. So therefore, this Chitrakatam, beautiful, beautiful stories, the beautiful stories of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And to get those beautiful stories of the Bhagavatam, to make Chitrakatam, to express the glory of devotional service to the masses of people, that is Srila Prabhupada's mission. And that's what we're doing in this particular marathon. So we shouldn't think in numbers of books. We should think that, not that I want to distribute so many books so that I will be glorified after Mangalarti. No. But we should think, I want to distribute many books so that as many people as possible, I can be the instrument, I can be the humble servant of Srila Prabhupada, of the Parampara, and deliver this transcendental message. One time Srila Prabhupada said, what is the use of your 3-minute speech? No. Otherwise, what is the use that I sit there and talk to people? Better give them a book and then give another book and let Prabhupada do the talking. No. Because his talking will be better, whatever we can say. Just like there were 2 devotees in the beginning, when Srila Prabhupada, before we had Juhu in Mumbai, Prabhupada sent two devotees out. One was a sannyasi, the other was a brahmachari, to go out and preach. And they came back with their heads hanging down. They said, Srila Prabhupada, we were defeated by a Mayavadi. He knew so many verses, he knew so many things. And Prabhupada said, then why are you not studying my books? So you have to study my books. Because also by studying his books, that will give us more determination to distribute the books. If we don't study the books, then it's just numbers and fame. No. Just let me see how I can be recognized. But we don't want to be recognized in the crowd of people. We want Krishna to recognize that my heart, my asakta manaparta yogaminjaman manashraya. I want Krishna to recognize that I am giving everything to him. No. I don't want to be recognized. Madhavendra Puri was trying to avoid being recognized, but he couldn't, because Krishna wants his devotee to be glorified. But a devotee doesn't want to be glorified. A devotee wants to glorify. And so this ability to distinguish, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that our understanding of Krishna consciousness becomes strengthened by, as Srila Prabhupada says here, the word vivikta padam refers to the path of logical discourses concerning the aim of life. Srila Prabhupada said this is the distinction between human beings and animals. That human beings, they are concerned with what is the purpose of life, what is Atma and what is not Atma. Everything that is not Atma, everything that is not Brahman, it's all illusion. And the duty of a devotee is to convert that illusory energy into Chit Shakti. All this material energy, just like all this cement and bricks and stones and everything that this temple is made of, has been converted into Chit Shakti. By what? By the chanting of the holy name. Although we may do so many ceremonies and Agnihotra, and it's really the chanting of the holy name. Srila Prabhupada said this in Vrindavan when he was opening the temple in Vrindavan. He said, we must invite many Brahmins, not because what they do will essentially change anything, because we can just chant the holy name. But this is the system, and we must follow the system. But the really everything is converted. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur lamented, just like we were discussing the other day on his disappearance day, that he lamented that so much time and energy spent to create this big temple, and everyone is simply seeing what piece of the temple can be mine. What can I call mine? How can I capture it? How can I control this? He was saying better to sell it all and print books. So Srila Prabhupada took that very seriously. Even Prabhupada said that big devotees, meaning real acharyas, they're not interested in building temples. They're not interested in big ceremonies. But if building a big temple will attract people, just like Srila Prabhupada when he was sitting in his hut, I'll conclude with this. He was sitting in his hut in Mayapur. He looked over to the temple, the lotus building that was being built at that time, and he said, that is Rajagun. This is Sattvagun. That actually, real Sattvagun, we may live in a palatial building just like Sudam Brahman. He got a big palatial building. What did he do? He continued his same Brahminical activities, sleeping on the floor, chanting mantras, everything he did before. There was no change. So also, if we have a big building or a hut, our activity is the same, simply to glorify Krishna. And therefore, and to develop the spiritual consciousness by which we can be like a swan, and not, as it says here in every verse, Kim asat karma bir bhavet. What is the use of these temporary activities? So we have to take advantage of Srila Prabhupada, of the parampara, tuleyama lavanapi na bhavam na punar, na swargam na punar bhavam Bhagavat Bhakti Bhagavat Sangi Sangasya Martyanam Kimuti Utishishyaha. That if we get one moment association through Srila Prabhupada's books, through associating with devotees, through hearing from the parampara, if we take it very seriously, it is greater than all heavenly gifts. It is greater than liberation. That association with the devotees of the Lord, what to speak of worldly achievements, which are simply lead to death. So our Krishna consciousness movement is meant to do this, to bring people to the platform of Krishna consciousness. And therefore this marathon, this Prabhupada marathon, is so important. It's not about numbers, it's about consciousness. Spreading, developing and having that spiritual consciousness and giving it to others. So we'll stop here because we're in the marathon and that's the time schedule. If there's any quick question before we adjourn. Yes. First time I came to India, I stayed, there was no place to stay in Calcutta. So this life member said, you need a place to stay? So he took me to his house. And right next door was Bagh Bazar temple. So I went at 3 o'clock in the morning. I saw this man chanting. I went the next day at 2:30 in the morning. I saw this man chanting. So the next day I came again 2:30, very early. I see him chanting. I said, so you're here every day chanting? He said, yes, I am godbrother of your Guru Maharaj. He said, every day I come and at 1 o'clock I chant my 64 rounds, then I go to work. So the point is, it's possible. Sometimes we use work or family or whatever as an excuse not to be Krishna conscious. Or we use something, everybody, brahmacharis, grihasthas, they find some reason why I don't need to deepen my Krishna consciousness. But this is Maya. So, work itself, Yad karoshi arashnasi, everything we do, all our work is meant to be offered to Krishna. And when we do that, it doesn't matter what we're doing. Just like in the Puranas, it tells the story of Vishnu, Narada Muni asked Vishnu who is his best devotee. So one of the illustrations is, he says, go to this devotee, and he's a farmer, he's an agriculturalist. And so Narada Muni sees he's praying for 10 minutes, then he goes and plows the fields, and then he comes back at the end of the day, and 10 minutes prayer. So Narada Muni thinking, what kind of great devotee is this? He's plowing. So Vishnu says, please bring me a pot full of milk. Some people say ghee, milk, whatever. Pot full of liquid. And make sure not one drop spills. So Narada Muni does that. And he says, so did you spill a drop? No. He said, were you thinking of me? No. I was thinking of the milk. Yes, but you were doing it for me. And therefore, no, that makes you a great devotee. So if we just always remember to do everything for Krishna, then that is the secret. No excuses for not being Krishna conscious. The only excuse is, I don't want to be. Prabhupada said that one time. He said, why is someone not Krishna conscious? The devotee said, Maya. Somebody said something else. Somebody said, Prabhupada said. Finally somebody said, because I don't want to be. Prabhupada, yes, that is why. If you want to be Krishna conscious, you will be. And if you don't want to be Krishna conscious, you won't be. So if we just want to do it, we will find a way. Let's see. Let's see if it works this time.
My question is that those of us who are in the ashram, what is a very practical checklist for distinguishing illusion from matter, or rather matter from spiritual, from the material from the spiritual? A very practical checklist, because we seemingly gloss over subjects as if they are, it's okay, they are spiritual, and then it turns out they're actually material in our day-to-day life. So how can we look at it practically in our ashram life?
Deeply study Srila Prabhupada's books. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, when Srila Prabhupada is commenting, or translating and commenting, and also in Nectar of Devotion, where it says one of the principles of devotional service is one should not study too many books. And Prabhupada says that yes, one should not study too many books, one should read them thoroughly. No, he said, don't simply learn something to distinguish yourself, but learn it to distinguish what is Maya and what is Krishna. So Prabhupada said each book should be studied thoroughly, not superficially, like you say, just glossing it over. Learn a few verses so that I can impress everyone. Oh, look, he knows many verses, or he knows this, he knows that. No, learn it and make it part of our lives. Param Drishtva Nivartate is the real secret which Krishna gives, and just getting the taste for Krishna consciousness, and therefore that taste takes us beyond Maya. So, I always say that Krishna consciousness is not that you try to avoid Maya, but you become so attached to Krishna that you're not interested in Maya. If you try to avoid Maya, just like I read something the other day from one lecture, Srila Prabhupada, he was explaining the word Krishna, and he said Krishna means all attractive. Krishna is all attractive for everyone. For the devotee, Krishna is very beautiful, and Krishna is very wonderful, wonderful pastimes, qualities. And he said for the atheist, Krishna is all attractive. They're always trying to eliminate Krishna. So therefore, he's all attractive for everyone. So we shouldn't be trying to do something mechanically, but we should be becoming more Krishna conscious, and that will displace Maya. Maya will have no place. Just like, what is that? Krishna, Surya Sam, Maya Haya Andhikar. Yahan Krishna Tahan Nahi Maya Adhikar. That wherever the sun is, wherever Krishna is, Maya cannot enter. So we fill our lives and our consciousness and our hearts with Krishna Katha, Chitra Katha, Krishna Katha. And then it's Krishna Katha is Chitra Katha. It's so beautiful that anything else will be like a firefly compared to the sun. So I think we should have to stop here, because otherwise I will be accused of holding up the marathon. Okay.
So I will speak in Hindi. Somebody can translate to Maharaj into English. Hare Krishna. तो महाराज ने बहुत अच्छा प्रवचन दिया, और इस श्लोक के आधार पर, प्रभुपाद के आधार पर प्रवचन दिया. तो यहाँ पर नारद जी ने हैं, जो कहा था कि तुम एक विचित्र कथाओं वाले हंस को नहीं जानते हो तो कैसे प्रजा को उत्पन्न करोगे। तो ये पहेली के रूप में 8वां प्रश्न था नारद जी का, और उन हरियशों ने जो 10,000 एक साथ मिले हुए थे विचार किया। तो चित्रकथा वाला हंस वो क्या है, तो उनका ऐश्वरम शास्त्रम। ऐश्वरम शास्त्र का मतलब है जो ईश्वर से संबंधित शास्त्र है। तो ईश्वर से संबंधित शास्त्र यानी जो कृष्ण कथा है वो 2 प्रकार की प्रभुपाद बताते हैं। एक तो भगवद गीता है जो साक्षात श्री कृष्ण ने बोली है, और दूसरी श्रीमद् भागवत है जो श्री कृष्ण के बारे में बोली गई है। तो ये 2 शास्त्र हैं जो ग्रंथों के राजा हैं, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भगवद गीता और ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम। तो ऐश्वरम शास्त्रम उत्सृज्य, तो ये जो ऐश्वरम शास्त्रम है भगवद गीता और श्रीमद् भागवत, इन दोनों में बंधन मोक्ष का अच्छी प्रकार से चित्रण किया गया है, वर्णन किया गया है, बंधन और मोक्ष। तो यही शास्त्र, ये 2 गीता भगवद गीता और श्रीमद् भागवतम 2 शास्त्र जो है ये हंस हैं जो कि बंधन और मोक्ष को अलग अलग करते हैं, और पता चलता है कि भाई हमें कहाँ बंधन होगा तो हम वहाँ ना जाएं, और कहाँ मोक्ष होगा जहाँ से हम जाएं। तो भगवद गीता में भगवान जो है शरीर और आत्मा का जो वर्णन करते हैं, तो उसमें भी बताया गया आश्चर्यवत पश्यति कश्चिदेनम, आश्चर्य के समान कोई व्यक्ति इसको देखता है। आश्चर्यवत वदति तथ्य विचान्या, आश्चर्य के समान कोई व्यक्ति बोलता है। आश्चर्यवच्चैन मन्यः शृणोति, और कोई अन्य व्यक्ति आश्चर्य के समान सुनता है। तो ये आश्चर्य है जो उसकी कहते विचित्र यानी चित्रकथा। तो भगवद गीता की जो कथा है वो बड़ी विचित्र है। श्रीमद् भागवत में भी बड़ी विचित्र कथा है, जैसे पुरंजन की कथा। तो पुरंजन जो है किस प्रकार से जो है बंधन में, कर्म के बंधन में बंध जाते हैं, नरक की प्राप्ति करते हैं, फिर स्त्री का उनको शरीर प्राप्त हो जाता है। तो इस कथा से जो है पता चलता है कि हम ऐसे मार्ग में ना जाएं जहाँ की हम बंधेंगे, कर्मों से बंधेंगे और दुखों कष्टों से बंधेंगे। और श्रीमद् भागवत में भरत महाराज की कथा है, तो भरत महाराज की कथा वो भी बंधन और मोक्ष को ठीक से नहीं पहचान पाए हैं, और वो सोच रहे हैं कि वो मोक्ष के मार्ग में जा रहे हैं, उनको बंधन प्राप्त हुआ, उनको हरण का शरीर प्राप्त हो गया। तो गीता में भगवान कहते हैं बंधम मोक्षम च आवेत्ति बुद्धि सा पार्थ सात्विकी। तो जो बंधन और मोक्ष को जानती है वो सात्विकी बुद्धि है। तो वही जो है हंस है क्योंकि बंधन और मोक्ष को अलग अलग करे। तो अभी क्या है, सामान्य व्यक्तियों की दृष्टि में क्या है, बंधन और मोक्ष सब बराबर, उन्हें कुछ पता नहीं चलता है कि वो जो काम कर रहे हैं इसमें कहाँ उनको बंधन मिलेगा और कहाँ से उनको मोक्ष मिलेगा। दैवी संपत्ति विमोक्षाय निबंधाय आसुरीमता। तो दैवी संपत्ति मोक्ष के लिए है और आसुरी संपत्ति बंधन के लिए है। तो लोग नहीं जानते इस चीज़ को, लेकिन गीता में भगवान बंधन और मोक्ष का बिल्कुल स्पष्ट वर्णन करते हैं, अलग अलग करते हैं। तो हंस, तो भगवद गीता भी एक हंस है जिसमें विचित्र कथाओं के माध्यम से, श्रीमद् भागवत भी एक हंस है, विचित्र कथाओं के माध्यम से बंधन और मोक्ष का अलग अलग वर्णन किया गया है। तो श्रीमद् भागवत जो है एक ऐसा ग्रंथ है जिसमें बहुत सी कथाएं, बड़ी सुंदर सुंदर कथाएं हैं, जिनसे कि हमें पता चलता है कि किस व्यक्ति को बंधन प्राप्त हुआ, किस व्यक्ति को मोक्ष प्राप्त हुआ है, और शरीर और जो जीवात्मा है ये अलग अलग हैं। तो अनेक अनेक जो है कथाएं ऐसी हैं जिनमें कि पुनर्जन्म की बात बताई गई कि पुनर्जन्म में वो जो है राजा पुरंजन है वो स्त्री बन गए। क्यों बन गए? स्त्री का चिंतन किया था। भरत महाराज हैं, अगले जन्म में हरण बन गए। क्यों बन गए? हरण का चिंतन किया था। तो बंधन की भी बड़ी अच्छी व्याख्या श्रीमद् भागवत देती है और मोक्ष की बड़ी अच्छी व्याख्या श्रीमद् भागवत देती है। तो ये जो है चित्रकथम, ये जो हंस है, श्रीमद् भागवत परम हंसों की संहिता है। तो जो हंस लोग हैं जो कि बंधन और मोक्ष में अंतर करना चाहते हैं और बंधन मोक्ष में अंतर करना जानते हैं, तो वे लोग श्रीमद् भागवत सुनते हैं। तो परमहंस संहिता है श्रीमद् भागवत। तो ये जो है हरेश्वर ने निर्णय कर लिया कि इन शास्त्रों को ही हमें सुनना चाहिए जिनमें कृष्ण की कथा हो और जिनमें और दूसरे विषयों का वर्णन है। तो व्यास जी ने भी महाभारत लिखा तो उनको संतुष्टि नहीं हुई। तो धर्म अर्थ काम का तो बहुत वर्णन किया, लेकिन उस प्रकार से श्री कृष्ण की भक्ति का वर्णन नहीं किया तो व्यास जी भी बड़े अशांत रहे। तो नारद जी ने फिर संकेत किया कि आप एक ऐसा ग्रंथ लिखिए जिसमें शुद्ध भक्ति का वर्णन हो। तो व्यास जी ने फिर श्रीमद् भागवत लिखी जो कि जिसमें शुद्ध भक्ति का वर्णन है। तो शुद्ध भक्ति के द्वारा हम समझ पाते हैं कि बंधन क्या है और कहाँ मोक्ष है ना। तो बंधन और मोक्ष सब दोनों मिले हुए हैं आज के जीवन में और लोग नहीं जानते हैं। जैसे दूध और पानी मिले हुए हैं, तो आप दूध और पानी एक साथ पी रहे हैं है ना, तो आपको दूध का असली स्वाद नहीं मिल रहा। लेकिन जो हंस होता है उसको दूध और पानी मिला हुआ दिया जाता है तो दूध ग्रहण कर लेता है, पानी छोड़ देता है। तो इसी प्रकार से जो श्रीमद् भागवत और भगवद गीता ये दो ऐसे शास्त्र हैं जो कि हंस के समान है और इनकी विचित्र कथाओं के द्वारा हम जो है बंधन और मोक्ष को समझ सकते हैं और बंधन छोड़ दें और मोक्ष प्राप्त कर लें। कर्म के बंधन से हम छूट जाएं और जो बंधन है जो कर्म है तो भगवान गीता में कहते हैं कि कर्मजम बुद्धि युक्ता ही फलम त्यक्त्वा मनीषिणः जन्म बंध विनिर्मुक्ता पदम गच्छन्ति नामयम् है ना। तो वो जो है बंधन जन्म बंध विनिर्मुक्ता, जन्म के बंधन से मुक्त हो जाते हैं और अनामय पद को प्राप्त करते हैं। तो ये भगवद गीता है और उसी का ही विस्तार श्रीमद् भागवत है। तो यही हंस है। तो हरे कृष्ण ने निर्णय किया कि हम जो है ऐसे विचित्र कथाओं वाले हंस की शरण लें जो कि दूध और पानी को अलग कर सकता है, यानी मोक्ष और बंधन को अलग अलग कर सकता है और हम उसमें से जो मोक्ष है उसको ग्रहण कर लें और बंधन छोड़ दें। हरे कृष्णा।
श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदी।